So, my humble pranam at the feet of Holy Trinity. I am very grateful to the headquarters, Sharda Mott, and also our dear Divyanandaprana. In midst of her busy schedule, she agreed to come over here and spend a few days with us. So I took that opportunity to give a series of lectures on Kathopanishad here. I hope all of you will utilize this opportunity. Divyanandaprana need not, I hope so, need not any introduction. She is a monastic member of our center at Delhi, Ramakrishna Sharda Mission, and she is the editor also, Samvit. So many of you are reading Samvit. We need the message of Vedanta, which Swamiji wanted all of us, particularly from women, which he has high hope on us. There should be propaganda still more and more. So I request you all to become subscribers for that. And Divyanandaprana, her deep interest in Vedanta since childhood, and her efforts to study further by the efforts of her and also by the grace of Holy Mother, she has become known to internationally, and nowadays she is giving more interest on the youth. Many universities in America and recently in Tokyo, Japan, also she met the students there, and there was a very good response. Even in India also, it is, she was telling to me, 2018, am I correct?
Yes.
2018, some IIT students were used to attend the classes at Ramakrishna Sharda Mission, Delhi. So when they heard her lectures and everything, they requested her, why don't you take classes for IIT students here in Delhi? She had taken classes 3 places there in Delhi, JNU University, IIT, and another one, IIT, Delhi University. And IIT students are very keen. They went through her lectures and everything. Why can't we do it? Why can't we publish it? Then they brought out the book. Many of you have seen Real Happiness in
Science of Happiness.
Science according to Vedanta. Science of Happiness according to Vedanta. Now it has become a text for IIT students, which was government wanted to have it. At last, Swamiji made her an instrument to bring it out. And another book on consciousness also, they are going to introduce, I think, I heard like that. So anyway, she is doing a wonderful work, and here also, as soon as people came to know, many have asked her to come and give a talk. I hope this series of lectures will enhance our better understanding on Vedanta journey. And also my heartfelt thanks and gratitude for all of you for participating in this series of lectures.
I continue.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः उषन्ह वै वाचश्रवस सर्ववेदसंददौ तस्य ह नचिकेता नाम पुत्रास तं ह कुमारं सन्तदक्षिणासु नीयमानासु श्रद्धा विवेश सोमन्यत पीतोदका जग्दतृणा दुग्धदोहा निरिन्द्रियाः अनन्दानामते लोकांस्तान् स गच्छति ताददत स होवाच पितरं तत कस्मै मां दास्यसीति द्वितीयं तृतीयं तं होवाच मृत्यवे त्वा ददामीति बहूनामेमि प्रथमो बहूनामेमि मध्यमः किंस्विद्यमस्य कर्तव्यं यन्मयाद्य करिष्यति अनुपश्य यथा पूर्वे प्रतिपश्य तथा परे सस्यमिव मर्त्यपच्यते सस्यमिवाजायते पुनः वैश्वानर प्रविशत्यतिथिर्ब्राह्मणो गृहान् तस्यैतां शान्तिं कुर्वन्ति हरवैव स्वतोदकम् आशाप्रतीक्षे सङ्गतं सुनृतां चेष्टापूर्ते पुत्रपशुश्च सर्वान् एतद्वृङ्क्ते पुरुषस्याल्पमेधसो यस्यानश्नन् वसति ब्राह्मणो गृहे तिस्रो रात्रिर्यदवासे गृहे मे अनश्नन् ब्रह्मन् अतिथिर्नमस्यः नमस्ते सो ब्रह्मन् स्वस्ति मे अस्तु तस्मात् प्रतीत्रेन् वरान् वृणीष्व शान्तसङ्कल्प सुमना यथा स्यात् वीतमन्युर्गौतमो माभिमृत्यो त्वत्प्रसृष्टं माभिवदेत् प्रतीत एतत्त्रयाणां प्रथमं वरं वृणे यथा पुरस्ताद् भविता प्रतीत औदालकीरारुणिर्मत्प्रसृष्टः सुखं रात्रिशयिता वीतमन्युस्त्वां ददृशिवान् मृत्युमुखात् प्रमुक्तम् स्वर्गे लोके न भयं किंशनास्ति न तत्र त्वं न चरया बिभेति उभेति त्वाशनाया पिपासे शोकातिगो मोदते स्वर्गलोके सत्त्वमग्निं स्वर्गमध्येषि मृत्यु प्रब्रूहीतं श्रद्दधानाय मह्यम् स्वर्गलोकामृतत्वं भजन्त एतद्वितीयेन वृणे वरेण प्रते ब्रवीमि तदुमे निबोध स्वर्गमग्निं नचिकेत प्रजानन् अनन्तलोकाप्तिमथो प्रतिष्ठां विद्धि त्वमेतं निहितं गुहायाम् लोकादिमग्निं तमुवाच तस्मै या इष्टकायावतीर्वा यथा वा स चापि तत्प्रत्यवदत् यथोक्तम् अथास्य मृत्यु पुनरेवाहतुष्टः तमब्रवीत् प्रीयमाणो महात्मा वरं तवेहाद्य ददामि भूयः तवैव नाम्ना भवितायमग्नि शृङ्कां चेमामनेकरूपां गृहाण त्रिनाशिकेतश्रीभिरेत्यसन्धिं त्रिकर्मकृत्तरति जन्म मृत्यो ब्रह्मशज्ञं देवमीड्यं विदित्वा निचाये मां शान्तिमत्यन्तमेति त्रिनाशिकेतस्रयमेतद्विदित्वा य एवं विद्वाक्षिनुते नाशिकेतम् स मृत्युपाशान् पुरतः प्रणोद्य शोकातिगो मोदते स्वर्गलोके एष तेऽग्निर्नचिकेतस्वर्ग्यो यमवृणीथा द्वितीयेन वरेण एतमग्निं तवैव प्रवक्ष्यन्ति जनाः तृतीयं वरं नचिकेतो वृणीष्व इयं प्रेते विचिकित्सा मनुष्ये अस्ति ते केनायमस्तीति शैके एतद्विद्यामनुशिष्टस्वयाहं वराणामेष वरस्तृतीयः देवैरत्रापि विचिकित्सितं पुरा न हि सुविज्ञेयमणुरेष धर्मः अन्यं वरं नचिकेतो वृणीष्व मामोपरोऽसिरतिमासृजैनम् देवैरत्रापि विचिकित्सितं किल त्वं च मृत्यो यन्न सुविज्ञेयमाथ वक्ता चास्य त्वादृगन्यो न लभ्यो नान्यो वरस्तुल्य एतस्य कश्चित् शतायुष पुत्रपौत्रान् वृणीष्व बहून् पशून् हस्ते हिरण्यमश्वान् भूमिर्महदायतनं वृणीष्व स्वयं च जीव शरदो यावदिच्छसि एतत्तुल्यं यदि मन्यसे वरं वृणीष्व वित्तं चिरजीविकां च महाभूमौ नचिकेतस्त्वमेधि कामानां त्वा कामभाजं करोमि ये कामा दुर्लभा मर्त्यलोके सर्वान् कामान् छन्दत प्रार्थयस्व इमा रामा सरथा सतूर्या न हि दृशालम्बनीया मनुष्ये आभिर्मत्प्रत्ताभिपरिचारयस्व नचिकेतो मरणं मानुप्राक्षेः शोभावामर्त्यस्य यदन्तकैतत् सर्वेन्द्रियाणां जरयन्ति तेजः अपि सर्वं जीवितमल्पमेव तवैव वाहास्तव नृत्यगीते न वित्तेन तर्पणीयो मनुष्यो लप्स्यामहे वित्तमद्राक्ष्मचेत्वां जीविष्यामो यावदिशिष्यसि त्वं वरस्तु मे वरणीय स एव अजीर्यताम् अमृतानामुपेत्य जीर्यन्मर्त्य क्वधस प्रजानन् अभिध्यायन् वर्णरति प्रमोदान् अतिदीर्घे जीविते घोरमेतम् यस्मिन्निदं विचिकित्सन्ति मृत्यो यस्साम्पराये महति ब्रूहिणस्तत् योऽयं वरो गूढमनुप्रविष्टो नान्यं तस्मान्नचिकेता वृणीते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयोः श्रुत्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। my humble pranams at the feet of the Holy Trio, Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi, Sri Ramakrishna and Swamiji, and my pranams to revered Geeta Prana Mataji, the other Matajis, and namaskars to all of you. We will begin our study of the Kathopanishad. So, before I begin the Kathopanishad, I would like to give you a brief introduction to the Upanishads. Why are they so important? Why we are constantly talking of Upanishads? Rather than there are so many philosophies. Why only Upanishads? Why only Vedanta? This question should naturally be there, isn't it? Many people are inclined towards devotional paths, bhakti yoga, but still we keep talking about Upanishads. Why? So the reason for this is the Upanishads form the Jnana Kanda of the Vedas, the knowledge portion. It is the philosophy behind every path, every yoga. And that is the spiritual heritage of India. All our different spiritual paths, the different yogas, different systems of thoughts, philosophies, everything has arisen from this. So if we don't have knowledge of this foundation of our spiritual heritage, we will not be able to understand any philosophy properly. Everything arises from the Upanishads. The truth of the Vedas lies in the Upanishad, in the knowledge portion, not just the ritual portion, the knowledge portion of the Vedas, the Upanishads. So that is why it is called Vedanta, which means the Anta of the Vedas, the very end or essence of the Vedas. That is the Upanishad. Upanishad Nama, Vedanta Nama, Upanishad Pramana. That's the definition in Sanskrit. Which means what is Vedanta? It is the evidence to truth provided by Upanishads. What are the Upanishads? The knowledge portion of the Vedas. So we must be very clear why the insistence is on Upanishads. Otherwise, we may take up some philosophy, some particular path which suits our belief system, our practices, and we may make that very big. And we will lose touch with the source of all philosophy. That is why Vedanta is so important. If we have a foundation in Vedanta, then you take up any path, any philosophy, whether it is Shaktism, Vaishnavism, Shaivism, anything which suits me. But the source, the foundation should be on Vedanta. Then what will happen? We will not become dogmatic. We will not become narrow. We will understand this is what suits me, but the whole foundation is this, Vedanta. Every philosophy is embedded in Vedanta. It derives its strength and source from Vedanta. And that's why if we don't have a solid foundation in this foundation of Indian spiritual heritage, we will not get much from any philosophy. There is great danger in religion, you know that. It can make us very dogmatic, very narrow. All the fights, the greatest wars of this world have been fought over religion. Not power struggles, not politics, religion. So that much we can misunderstand religion. Without Vedanta, we will misunderstand religion. Because this is the scientific foundation, the very crux of the matter. So we have to study this, whether we like it or not, whether it is our path or not, we have to study Vedanta. Then what happens is, then you go to any philosophy, like for example, go to Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, you will find its true place. In my life, in these scriptures, you will be able to correlate. Otherwise, we won't be able to do that. So that is why Vedanta is our very breath and life. If we let go of that, there is danger in scriptural interpretation. So that is why we will always keep insisting on this till the end of time, because it's the truth about everything. And this particular Upanishad, Kathopanishad, is one of the principal Upanishads. Which means what? See, there are 108 Upanishads in the Vedas. Do you know how the Upanishads were made? Did somebody sit and write the Upanishads? No. Then they are apaurushaya, you know that. Okay, they are the realizations of the rishis, which were transmitted by word of mouth. That is why it is Ved, it is Shruti, it was heard. It is knowledge that was heard and transmitted by word of mouth from teacher to disciple, teacher to student, like that. Much later it was compiled together as the 4 Vedas by Vyas. Yes, and then the commentaries were written, all that started. But initially it was just pure knowledge transmitted from teacher to student. So this is a tremendous body of existential knowledge. Knowledge about the truths of existence, not about the truths of our mind, not about the truths of our the objects we have created. Science and philosophy is there for mind and object. This is knowledge of existence, pure being. What is the nature of human existence? That's the main question. Knowing what do I know the nature of this objective world? What is the nature of my consciousness? These are the questions being answered here. So you see, it is knowledge that comes before the thought process begins. This is not psychology. This is existential inquiry, from which springs all other philosophy and psychology. If I do not have a grasp on the nature of pure existence, I will never have a grasp on the nature of my thought process. Does this make sense? See, psychology is about studying mind. But what is the source of the mind? Consciousness is the source of the mind. So this is a textbook on consciousness studies. Today, all around the world, they are asking, why they invite us, tell me? Why are they inviting us to so many American universities? Why do they need to draw from this? Because it is talking about the truth of pure consciousness. That is why. And that is my own real nature. Not that it is the nature of God. Of course, pure consciousness is Brahman, but that is also my own real nature. So it is my unchanging identity. That is why the interest. If this is the true nature of the human being, then naturally, what would be the goal of human life? Self-knowledge. See, if the human being was mind, then the goal of human life would be the creation of the mind, isn't it? The different philosophies, psychologies, sciences, all this. If the nature of the human being was body, then the material world only would be the goal of human life. But if the nature of the human being was pure consciousness, then what would be the goal of life? Perception of unitary consciousness, perception of the divinity within every being. So you see, it changes the very paradigm of human thought, the philosophy of the Upanishads. It changes the very purpose of life. That is why the interest. And today Upanishads are contributing hugely to consciousness studies, to neuroscience, to contemplative psychology. See, these are all the modern subjects on the table, you know. And through all these, it is contributing enormously to the philosophy of ethics. It is contributing to aesthetics. It is even contributing to modern law. I'll tell you at some point how. And of course, it is contributing hugely to the different philosophies which were discovered in this world. It sort of supports every religious system. Do you know that? The Upanishads. In fact, it is the truth behind every religion. Vivekananda used to say. He also said, Upanishads are an infinite mine of strength, in which lies strength enough to invigorate the whole world. And the cream of this Upanishadic thought, Advaita Vedanta, is, to put it in Vivekananda's words, he would say, it is the simplest way you can put truth. It is the simplest way you can put truth before a person. It is direct truth. This clarity, this intense inquiry and knowledge-based, not faith-based approach. This is the beauty of the Upanishadic literature. You don't have to believe in it. If you don't believe, even better. You will get to it faster. Rather, inquire into it. So one in whom this spirit of knowledge and inquiry has arisen will naturally find his way to the Upanishad. No belief systems here. No commandments. Yes, every other religion based on faith, belief, commandment. If you don't obey, you're down. Nothing of that sort here. Come with a scientific mind, understand and inquire into the nature of your own reality and enter into it using this. That's all. This is an aid to first-person research. This is how it is seen. Yatra vedo avedo bhavati. Vedas only will say. You have to reach that state where even the Veda becomes a Veda. Which means you must know it as a realization. This is only an aid to that. Not that the book is everything. Many religions, book is everything. Here, the book is telling you the profoundest truth about yourself. That is its beauty. That is its glory. And what is that profound truth? It is the soul in every man. It is the Atman. So you are the God of the universe, according to Vedanta. The self within you. The Atman. And according to this philosophy, you are only wearing the body and mind. You are not the body and mind. No matter how much the mirror tells you, you are the body. This is telling you consciousness is the primary datum of human experience. Not matter, not body, not even mind. So you see, it's a complete research into our true being. That is what the Upanishads are. Out of all the Upanishads, 108 Upanishads, there are even more, but at least 108 are accepted ones. And amongst them, 11 are called major or principal Upanishads. And Kathopanishad is one of them. Traditionally, this Kathopanishad actually comes from Krishna Yajurveda, from the Taittiriya Shakha of Krishna Yajurveda. You know how these Upanishads were actually formed? Those mantras of the Vedas, which were not actually talking of sacrificial rites, but of some deep knowledge, were separated as the Upanishads. Those mantras in the Vedas, which were not talking of sacrificial rites to gain this and that in the world, but talking of my real nature, the truth about the human being, about consciousness, that was separated into the Upanishads. Thus we have this huge collection of very, very important, potent literature in the world. The only literature that deals with my unchanging nature. Try to find any other piece of literature on the planet which is doing this. Try to find and see. They are either talking about mind or about body or about the world of objects. Even consciousness studies is not talking of pure consciousness. They are talking of thought, emotion, mentation, will. They are not talking of pure being. So you see, this is the most important literature then on the planet because the subject matter is pure consciousness, which is called Brahman in the Vedas. Brahman means that universal principle of consciousness that is all pervading and shines in the human heart as the Atman. That is what we are referring to as I. But because the mind is not trained in Vedanta, we think that I means body and mind. If this conditioning of Vedanta, if you pass through this, you will start, your sense of yourself will be different. This is what Upanishads do. So that is why this is called Shabda Praman for the truth, which means the evidence provided through word towards the ultimate truth of existence. That is Vedanta. It is the Shabda Praman. So that is the importance of this literature. Now, let me go straight into the Kathopanishad. The beauty of this Upanishad is, it is very easy to understand. It is in the form of a conversation. Many of our scriptures are in the form of a dialogue. And Bhagavad Gita is entirely a dialogue. But this Upanishad is between Yama and Nachiketa. Yama is the lord of death and Nachiketa is a Brahmin lad who has deep questions about life. So the initial mantras are all to do with how Nachiketa starts the dialogue. What happens that he starts asking questions like this. So now we will go into the text. Because we have 5 days for the Kathopanishad, we will go a little into the mantras, because you must actually hear the Vedic chanting of this. Just now our sisters chanted it. The mantra itself is powerful. Please remember, whatever is in the Upanishad, it is not a verse. It's a mantra. What is a mantra? Mananatrayate iti. Just by contemplating on it, it will liberate the mind. That is the power of Vedanta. So don't take it as it's just a verse, a hymn, some kind of a poetry. No, it's a mantra. They are all mantras. So you see how it starts, the Kathopanishad. Om Ushannaha Vaivaja Shravasa Sarva Veda Samdadau Tasyaha Nachiketa Nama Putra Asa. It starts with a rishi called Vaja Shravasa. He is also called Udalaka, because he is the son of Uddalaka. You remember Uddalaka, Shvetaketu, Chandogya Upanishad? So they are connected, you see, the rishis. So Vaja Shravasa is the rishi whose son is Nachiketa. And this Vaja Shravasa is performing a big yajna, sacrifice, called Vishwajit. Now, a little bit about yajna also we should know. What were the Vedic yajnas? A lot of the Vedic mantras have to do with these fire sacrifices, yajnas. Why were they doing it? That was the puja of the Vedic age, yajna. That was the yoga of the Vedic age. They were, what we do to deities now, in today's age, they would do that to the fire god. Because he is the Vahani, he is the carrier of sacrificial offerings to the Devas. And the Devas will grant them what they want, the boons they require. That was the perception, that was the understanding. There were also the Sakam Yajnas and also Nishkam Yajnas, where the Yajna is performed just for universal welfare. It is performed to reinforce into oneself the cyclic nature of life, to understand that I am part of universal life, so I must offer constantly of myself for rhythm. It was called rhythm in the Vedas. In order to bring harmony into life, I have to keep offering, giving of myself. So it was a symbolism, yajna, where it is telling you have to offer something of yourself to become part of universal life. So like this, there are various types of yajnas in the Vedic age. A lot of the mantras are speaking about these yajnas. Now this particular yajna, which he was performing, it entailed offering of gifts to Brahmins. And this Vajashravasa, who was performing the yajna, he was doing it in a way which was not very respectable. He was offering gifts which were Duddha Doha, Nirendriya. He was offering cows to Brahmins. And those cows were incapable of yielding milk, they were old, they were diseased. And those are not the kinds of gifts given during a yajna. So now his young son, Nachiketa, is watching this happening. And that fire of revolt arises. The young mind, pure boy, he suddenly starts thinking, how can my father do this? And the father says, they are my possessions. Then the boy thinks, I am also your possession, I am your son. So he goes and asks the Rishi, to whom will you give me? Now the father is angry. Why should my son question what I am doing? So he says in anger, I give you to Yama. And the story goes that then Nachiketa leaves that place and travels to the abode of Yama. That is the story. Then what happens once he goes there? See, let's move on with the mantras. Tamha kumaram santam dakshinasu niyamanasu shraddha avivesha so manyata. Nachiketa watched the kind of gifts his father was distributing, and because he was young, he had faith in the scriptures, he had this shraddha. Deep, you know how Shraddha is defined by Shankaracharya in Shankara's commentary. He says, Astikya Buddhi is Shraddha. An affirmative sense of proportion within him for all things of this world. So he cannot see this kind of a thing being done. His father is giving all kinds of gifts to Brahmins. So the revolt comes from within. And then he ponders over this in the light of his faith and he questions his father. And then the next mantras are telling you what kind of gifts were given. So I'm going to skip them because it's very long, Kathopanishad. Some mantras we will skip and we will go straight into what the father says. So now you go to the abode of Yama. That is what the father said. Then Nachiketa was stunned at his father's reply. But then he thought, Bahunamemi prathamo, Bahunamemi madhyamaha, kim svidyamasya kartavyam yan mayadya karishyati, which means I am surely the foremost of my father's children and disciples. If I am not amongst the foremost, at least I am the second best. But I am not totally gone case, I can achieve what I want to know. This boy had deep existential questions. You will see as the story goes, he starts asking those questions. That is why he feels a sense of regret when the father is giving these kind of gifts. These existential questions, Vedanta, naturally makes you ethical and moral. Have you seen this? Check and see in your own life. If there is deep interest in the actual truth of existence, the person will naturally gravitate towards a very, very strong moral life. Because he wants to know the truth of his own being. You cannot compromise with values when you have such a search, such an inquiry within yourself. So that is the condition of Nachiketa. And so that is why he now says to his father, no, he thinks for himself. Anupashya yatha purve pratipashya tatha pare sasyamiva martya pachyate sasyamiva chayate puna. See how our ancestors lived, and they lived great lives, and they continue to live like corn which grows and dies. The life of a human being is something like that. See, we usually think existence ends with death, but it does not. Existence carries on. Death is the fall of the body. This Upanishad should also help us reflect on what is the meaning of death. Because later on, Nachiketa is going to ask this question also. What is it that survives death? Does existence come to a full stop with death? Think and see. Can it be possible? So we will come to the answer when he asks the question. What exactly is death? Once we understand that, we will automatically understand then what is life. If I do not know what is death, I cannot appreciate what is life. So we will come to this. So like this, he ponders, and then he finally ends up at the abode of Yama. The story is like that. So now he has gone to the abode Yamalok, to the abode of Yama, and he stands in front of the palace of Yama, but the gates are closed. Yama has gone out somewhere on his duties, his rounds, to collect souls. So he is not there. Now Nachiketa waits at the gates for 3 days. 3 days and 3 nights. And then Yama returns. And Yama is very pained to see he made a Brahmin boy wait for 3 days and 3 nights without food, without water. And so he wants to make up for it. And he says to Nachiketa, I made you wait vainly, like this was very vain on my part. So please ask 3 boons from me. Whatever you ask, I will grant you. This was not right on my part. I want to make amends. So ask me these 3 boons. Now Nachiketa says, now the 3 boons are described. Briefly we will go through the first 2 boons. The third boon is what we are all interested in. The first boon is, he says, see, O Lord Yama, when I go back to my father, he will think I am a preta. I am a ghost, because I have come to the land of Yama. He is in Yamlok now. Once I go back on earth, my father may not recognize me. He may not accept me as his son. So please make sure that I am accepted. That's the first boon. So very logical what he is saying. The second boon is, he is asking for a particular sacrifice which will help attain higher worlds. So that sacrifice is called today the Nachiketa sacrifice only. The name of that sacrifice, because Nachiketa asked for it, it's called the Nachiketa sacrifice. It is a rite, a sacrificial rite which he asks for, and Yama teaches him that rite and also gives him a necklace as a symbol of how pleased he is that Nachiketa is asking for such profound things rather than asking for just something of this world. Then when it comes to the third question, now Nachiketa is all alert and he says, but the most important thing which I want to know from you is, Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye astiti eke nayam astiti cha eke etad vidya anushishta swayaham varanam esha varastritya. Which means, some say that nothing survives a man after death. And some say that, no, there is something which survives death. Tell me the truth about this. Now, Yama gets frightened. And he says, oh little boy, don't ask for such profound things. Even the gods are confused about this. You ask me for land and ask me for wealth, for prosperity, ask me for beautiful wives. I'll give you everything. Chariots and all the wealth of this world. I'll make you king. Enjoy all this that is spread out before you as this world. But don't ask me for self-knowledge. Don't ask about the self, because it is very profound. You won't understand. Even the gods don't understand. But Nachiketa, you know how firm he is? Completely determined. He says, Sarvendriyanam jarayanti teja. All that you are offering me will exhaust my vitality. See, this is called Vivek. This is what we must grasp from this Upanishad. This young boy is teaching us sadhan chatushtai, how to enter into self-knowledge. The first, foremost condition is solid Vivek, discernment, discrimination it's called. You know, when I first used the word discrimination in the West, I fell into deep trouble. Their discrimination means something else. Okay, there's so much of discrimination there between all sorts of things that they don't like the word discrimination. They use the word discernment. So this kind of a separation, philosophical discrimination you can say, between what is permanent, what is impermanent, what is real, what is not real, what stands the test of time, what does not stand the test of time, what is our real nature and what is not our real nature. This is called Vivek. If this is not there, nothing else will come. Why is it that we should study the Upanishad? Why is it that we should pursue self-knowledge? Because primarily, this world is not satisfactory. It is not permanent. It is transient. And it is dissatisfying. It is in fact frustrating. That is why. So, unless this personal sense of Vivek can't be taught. You just have to deeply analyze your experiences and Vivek will automatically come. So this Vivek is the starting point of self-knowledge. In the Sadhan Chatushtai, the fourfold qualifications for Vedanta, the first qualification is Vivek. Discernment, deep inquiry-based discernment. So then you become rock-like, you won't change. And you become inclined towards knowledge. If Vivek is not there, knowledge will be compromised. Experience will become primary. So Vivek is the first thing required. If Vivek is there, Vairagya will follow. They have cause-effect relationship. Vivek is the cause for Vairagya. If Vivek is not there, there won't be any real Vairagya. Vairagya andrene, not that you are, without knowing you are letting go of something. You know very well how worthless it is. Due to Vivek. So if there is Vivek, there will be real Vairagya. No Vivek, no real Vairagya also. It will be Markat Vairagya. And if there is Vivek, Vairagya will be there. If there is Vairagya, Shat Sampatti will be there. Shat Sampatti means a group of 6 qualities which are mandatory for Vedanta. What are they? First is Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha and Samadhan. These are the 6 groups of qualities. Shama means calmness of mind. Without a calm mind, can you have even secular knowledge? Tell me. See, that is why knowledge includes concentration and calmness. If there is deep knowledge, it has included great calmness of mind and concentration, ability to concentrate. So please know this. Shama is the first condition of Shat Sampatti. Second is Dama, which means you are able to control the senses, not chasing the senses. Third is Uparati. Uparati means, Rati means outward movement of mind through attachment. Uparati means detachment, inward movement of mind. Nothing draws your attention as much as Vedanta. This is Uparati. If we don't prioritize these things in our life, many things will hijack your mind. So Uparati is important, that is why for Vedanta. And after that, Titiksha. Titiksha we know, forbearance, ability to stand firm against the dualities of life, unshaken. Sahanam sarva dukkhana apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam. Titiksha iti uchyate. Which means you are, anything coming into life, with firm balance, I encounter it. I am not shaken by it. And many things will come into life, because life is after all a school meant to teach us lessons. So Titiksha is important. Otherwise, if we are thrown off balance by a little emotion from someone, little anger, little criticism, then what are we? So if there is Titiksha, you are fairly balanced within yourself, able to face the dualities of life and yet pursue this knowledge. So you see, consider your family situations. Many things will come into your life which you don't want, but they have to be faced. And we must make sure we don't break down under any circumstances, because pursuit of this knowledge is the goal. And this goal has to be achieved. So that is why Titiksha, just stoically bear with all the dualities of life. Chinta vilaparahita. Without chinta and vilap. That is Titiksha. After that, very, very important for spiritual life, because those who are constantly going like this will not get anywhere. Deep inner stability is required for this pursuit. That is why all this. And then you have Shraddha, that's the 5th of the Shat Sampatti. Shraddha means, I told you, Astikya Buddhi. A sense, affirmative sense of, which means I believe in this. Not blind belief. I have intellectually analyzed it and I know this to be the truth. This sense of affirmation regarding the higher goals of life. This is Shraddha. And this Nachiketa is the embodiment of Shraddha, you can see. And then Samadhan. Samadhan is focus. For a spiritual aspirant, focus is very important. If there is the genuine sanskar of Vedanta, all the focus will be on this. Focus, and see, there's a video called Signs of Focus. given in a medical college. You can watch that if you want. What exactly focus means in the Indian spiritual heritage. This ability of the mind to get absorbed in higher things is real focus. If today's modern generation, I'll tell you, addicted to television and internet, very little focus is there. It's sheer waste of cognitive power and energy, vital energy, which they start regretting after some time. Better to learn this lesson right in the beginning, that samadhan, focus, is crucial to success. So these are the Shat Sampatis, the 6 groups of treasures for the Vedantic life. And the fourth point is Mumukshutvam. Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampati and Mumukshutvam. What is Mumukshutvam? Desire for liberation. What is liberation? Why should I desire liberation? Liberation from what? It is the liberation of your mind from its conditioning, from its compulsiveness, from its negativities, tendencies. Because self is ever there. Mind is puzzled, always. Ignorance belongs to mind, liberation also belongs to mind. The self ever is as it is, ever present, never absent. Mind is taking all kinds of somersaults all the time. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha moksha yogo. Mind alone is the cause for bondage and liberation. So all of sadhana is about not just mind management, but transformation of mind, transcending mind, through discipline, through purification. That is the way of spirituality. So mumukshutvam, very important to understand. Liberation of mind from its compulsive habits, from its conditioning. Pure mind is equal to pure Atman. Who said this? Thakur said this. Pure mind is equal to pure Buddhi is equal to pure Atman. This pure Buddhi is Vedant, Vedantic Buddhi. It will lead directly to pure Atman. This is the formula. Pure mind, Shuddha Mon, is equal to pure Buddhi, is equal to pure Atman. They are not 3 different things. So all we have to do is generate pure mind. Now we know how wonderful our mind is. Are you acquainted with the abilities of your mind? So actually speaking, sadhana has to do with mind, attaining clarity of mind. Any sadhana, any path, if this is not gained, real self-knowledge will not come. You can bypass mind management through some logical process and make the conclusions of Vedanta, but it won't be an experience. It will be a logical outcome. What do you get out of logic? Tell me. It must become a felt experience. For that, purity of mind is the most important thing. Purity of life, purity of thought, purity of emotion. Then only Vedanta will become real. Otherwise, it is somebody's philosophy. This is the difference between a sadhak and a philosopher. A sadhak is thirsting for this. This is life-giving water. For the philosopher, it's an ideation. It's his means of income. So there's a huge difference. If you are yearning for God, mumukshutvam is there, then Vedanta will hit you. It's direct knowledge. Otherwise, we won't find its importance. So the essential thing is purity of mind. This is what characterizes a sadhak, sadhika. So in our own lives, let us see how this will become possible. Because if the pre-qualifications are not there, we will get precious little out of our study. In our own practical lives, this bhava samshuddhi, and a disciplined, regular everyday life based on bhakti and jnana, based on spiritual practice is very important for all of us. Then we will understand this is not just vritti jnana, this is the truth about my own being. How can I compromise on this? So naturally everything will follow. If the sadhan chatushtaya is there, the rest will follow. That's why they insist on vivek, vairagya, shat-sampati and mumukshutva. Then you dive into Vedanta, make it part and parcel of your life. Shall I give you an everyday routine how to do this? We give it to all. See, I am working with 5 IITs. IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, IIT Chennai. Chennai now regularly we are not doing, but we have done in the past. Kharagpur, IIT Kharagpur is very active, and IIT Mandi. They all have IKS departments, Indian Knowledge Systems, where a huge component of Vedanta has been introduced. Huge component of Vedanta, because they are studying consciousness. How can you study consciousness without Vedanta? So I am teaching, mostly it's online classes, but I also go offline when I am able to travel there. But regularly this is going on. For the simple reason, our young people should get acquainted with their spiritual heritage. Religion is not about rituals. Rituals were meant to concretize a philosophy so that it can change the ways of the mind, that's all. But if you don't have a philosophical backup, understanding, you will not be able to make sense of any religion. So that is why this is being done. And in all these IITs, I have found one thing. See, it's very clear, let me tell you this. How concentrated a student is, you will know only when you work in IIT or IIC or some such institution. Complete focus for extended periods of time will only come if the Jnana Sanskar is there. That is why, nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. Bhagavad Gita says this, nahi jnanena tulyam, there is nothing equal to jnana, pavitram iha vidyate. And who understands this? Tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalenatmani vidyate. Only one who has gone far in the path of yoga realizes the true value of knowledge. There is no greater purifier than knowledge. If you are inclined towards knowledge, you will become utterly pure in no time. So if we don't invest in knowledge, if our young people don't get to hear Kathopanishad and such things, what are you pursuing? See, I'll tell you one thing which I felt. Our first course was in 2018 in IIT Delhi, and that course was entitled Science of Happiness. 2018 batch passed out and they went, 80% of IIT lands up in the US. So when I was on one of my trips in the US, those students came to me and said, Mataji, of all that we studied in IIT for 8 years, we only remember this course. This is the impact of Upanishad on the young mind. We only remember this, Mataji. We never thought we would get this at IIT. So far it had not come into IIT. I'm telling you, it's all mothers doing. We are not doing anything. How can we do something like this? It's all mother is doing. It's the power of Shakti working from behind that this is happening. They are able to relate with it instantly. Because every young mind asks, who am I? What is my real nature? Every young mind asks this. So they are able to relate with it today. That's why the most important thing we require today are powerful teachers of this knowledge. One teacher can transform 1,000 minds. But real grip on this should be there. Otherwise we won't be able to do it. So the most important thing for a sadhak is knowledge. And Kathopanishad will guarantee that you will get this knowledge. See, the ideas are like that. As we move on, you will see. Let me go into the next part after this sadhan chatushtay. Now, Yama is asking Nachiketa, why don't you take all the things I am offering to you? Why don't you take all this? See, I'll give you all these lands and this palace, and you will become king, and all these chariots and cows. That was the measure of wealth in those days. And these wives, so many ornaments. Take all this, but don't ask this question. And what does Nachiketa say? No. Sarvendriyanam jarayanti teja. These things only remove my vitality. See, this is Vivek. And leave me forlorn, without energy to pursue this. This pursuit requires tremendous energy. High intelligence is energy. It is Shakti, vitality. So without vitality, I can't pursue this. So I will not waste my energies on those things you are offering. So I don't want them. See, this is Vivek. Vivek leads to Vairagya. You have something much better to pursue. Why should you pursue that? It's like that. So once he refuses this entirely, then Yama is delighted. He says, now I have found the right student. And come Nachiketa, I will teach you about this. And then starts the actual dialogue between the two, based on self-knowledge. So the nature of the self is very subtle, he says. And then, but I will tell you all that I know, because I have found a true student in you. Saying this, he goes on with we proceed to the chapter 2, because the chanting will happen tomorrow. We will take up chapter 2 tomorrow. And how he concludes the first chapter, just see this. Nachiketa says, O death, people have always debated about whether there is a self or not. The question is very important, for it is linked to the question of the liberation or just remaining in this world, whether there is something called liberation or there is nothing. It is difficult and needs investigation. This is a mystery, so give me an answer to this. Who but you can give me answer to this? Only Yama can give, isn't he? Lord of death. So with this, the first chapter ends. So now what Yama says and how he takes us into self-knowledge, we will see tomorrow. I will open the floor to questions. Mataji said for some time we can have Q&A. Yes. Yes. I thought it should be done in Q&A. See, this is the routine I give to young people. Okay. What happens is in all these institutions like IITs, they are nocturnals. They get up when, like, they sleep when we get up. They sleep at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 a.m. So then I tell them, whatever time you get up, first half an hour should be given to something spiritual. First half an hour of your morning. Either read the Upanishad, do some yoga, do some meditation. You can't do anything, at least sit and pray. Do something spiritual, because the mind is very, very, tender and open at that time. Very pure. Now you can impact it. You can put a sanskar on that mind. So do something spiritual. Read the Bhagavad Gita. Do some chanting, parayana. Do something like a puja. Something spiritual if you do, your mind awakens to a deeper dimension of awareness. Then you will quickly, your day will go very well. This was part and parcel of our culture actually, isn't it? Belige edbitu yen madbeku first. After you had your water and all that, you go to the puja room, salute the deity there, do an arti or some kind of puja you perform, then you start your day. This was mandatory. Now we have modern life, we are very busy. We are not very busy, we are very restless. We can't keep quiet. So unless the first half an hour you devote to something like this, going back to your source, if you can do this, you energize yourself positively for the day. So first half an hour you did this, then you do whatever you have to do. Students have to study. Then at some point during the morning, say 11:30, 12, again collect your energies. Turn a little inward. 2 minutes of silence. I have introduced a 5-minute meditation. You might have seen it on YouTube. So that 5-minute meditation you do at that time. Still yourself. Collect your energies together. You will again get focused. entirely. And it's a renewal of vitality within you, renewal of mind. You feel fresher, better. And then same thing you repeat in the evening. 5 minutes of meditation. Those of you who can, see, now it's not IIT sitting in front of me. You people have more time. You must devote the first 1 hour of morning to spiritual practice. More of meditation, puja, parayana, chanting, something of this sort. And throughout the day, at least twice more sitting. If this is done, definitely you will get a grip on yourself, on your own mind. It will help you so much better. When there is more free time, good reading. You all listen to YouTube talks, I know that, that's the modern reading. But it's also important to go to the original texts and try to understand originally what is being said. If there is enough sadhana, you will understand. So keep up this kind of a spiritual routine. It will keep renewing the mind. Mind will never suffer boredom or negativity or depression. Without spirituality, it will suffer all that. And then you come back to this. So better to come before it happens, isn't it? So make this kind of a routine in your everyday life. Another important thing is holy company. All these things work when you are in the right ambience. You know, many of my students have told me that in your presence, Mataji, it feels very true. After that, why? The atmosphere of the place is important. So come to Sharda Math. Those of you who are missing, that's not good. For your own sake, where will you find such a tapovan, tell me? In the heart of Bangalore. So come, utilize the place. The shrine is there, the Shiva temple is there, library is there. It is important to stay close to where there are powerful positive vibrations. Then only all this becomes real. So these are the things you must do in everyday life. If we want this to become real. Otherwise it will be real on Sunday 1 hour during the class, that's all. And then we'll keep asking, Mataji, how to make this practical? It is more than practical. You must be in the right atmosphere. Yes? Answer? Yes.
So is this in talking about liberation? It says that you can cross over Janma with you. So is this liberation or what is this?
No, he has mentioned there what are the 3. See, he who properly instructed by his mother, father and teacher performs thrice the sacrifice named after Nachiketa and also practices the 3 things, performing sacrifices, giving in charity and studying the Vedas. He goes beyond birth and death. Now, what this sacrifices and what it leads to, the Nachiketa sacrifice, that is not mentioned. It's a sacrificial rite. The purpose of every sacrifice was to take you to higher lokas. So, a kind of higher life. Along with that, if you are doing all this, giving in charity, studying the Vedas, doing your yajna, your daily practice, then it will lead to the highest end for every individual. This is what is being said. Liberation only comes through self-knowledge. If there is no self-knowledge, no matter how much you do, it will not lead to moksha. Do you believe this? No, Mataji. Karma also leads to moksha. Bhakti also leads to moksha. You can argue, no? Why do they say only this self-knowledge leads to moksha? Bondage belongs to mind. So liberation must be mental. Because the self is ever liberated. It is your own consciousness. But I just now see, if I close my eyes, do I feel consciousness? I feel thoughts. That is our problem. So knowledge will remove this. When your problem is ignorance, the solution is knowledge. If your problem was laziness, the solution was work. If your problem was bad emotion, the solution is good emotion, bhakti. According to the problem is the solution, isn't it? If your problem is ignorance, knowledge is the solution. Find out what your problem is. Okay.
Question answer session. Do you have any questions? This sadhana of meditation to vibrations. Sometimes you actually scared of those vibrations. Is it good to be scared, or is it the nature of your aura being created? I'm a little confused there, whenever I say much about meditation.
No, meditation ideally should not generate fear. When it generates fear, it's only because you have not become comfortable with that state of mind. So practice will change it. But it's always better to practice in a holy ambience. What happens is, now, suppose you try to meditate in a theater. First of all, you won't be able to meditate. But suppose you manage to meditate also, all kinds of vibrations are around you. You won't achieve that pitch required. But if you meditate in a very sacred, solitary spot, naturally the mind will rise. So that's why we insist that you first do spiritual practices in a good, really pure place. Once you build the sanskars, you can do it anywhere. How do you build sanskars? Most important thing. Spiritual sanskars, how to build them? By repetition. Repeated vrittis generate sanskars. So if we don't repeat, ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳೋದು ಜಪ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ತಾನೇ ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾಕದು ಹೇಳೋದು? That's the most important thing. If I keep repeating the mantra, the sanskar will be created for that realization of that mantra. Not otherwise. Repetition will create the required sanskar. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೀ ಹೇಳೋದು ಜಪ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜಪ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Did you know Brahman? We don't ask. Did you read the Upanishad? We say japa ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ. Because that's the most important thing. It's the way to change the ways of the mind. The methods are very simple. Our mind is complex, so it wants complicated methods. But the actual method is very simple. Just do the japa in a pure place. You will see the transformation within your mind. And keep away from this. See, a spiritual aspirant must have a no-nonsense attitude. So many things are bombarding on your mind constantly. Salpa, you should keep a little distance if you are serious about spiritual life. Because today this is internet juga. All the time it is pounding on your brain. And if you repeat, it will create its own sanskars. So take care of this a little.
What exactly is chitta? I'm not able to understand, because chitta vritti nirodha is able to understand. Second one is in meditation spiritual life, your connection should, everyone should be through the God. That also I want to understand.
So beautiful, her questions. Chittam actually means in yoga, see, the mind has 4 aspects, 4 functional aspects. Mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. Manas is the cogitative aspect. Sankalpa, vikalpa, atmika, antakarana, vritti, manas. That's the definition. Buddhi is the determinative aspect. And one nishchaya madodu. Nishchayatmika, antakarana, vritti, buddhi. But chittam is the memory bank. All the memories of the past, where they are stocked is your chittam. Anusandhanatmika antakarana vritti chittam.
Memories of all the life.
All lives. So huge memory bank we have. And ahamatmika antakarana vritti ahankar. So chittam is the most powerful force you have to handle during sadhana. ನಾವು ಜಪ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೋತೀವಿ, something or the other is unfolding in the mind. I may not have external stimulus, but internally so many pictures. It is chittam. Adikke in Patanjali Yoga, the very second sutra is, what is yoga? Yogastu chitta vritti nirodh. Not just arresting the vrittis of the manas, but chit, from your memory what is coming out, that is to be arrested. That is yoga, definition of yoga. ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿ, that is the number one problem for the mind. Because chittam is always, putting out so many images, so many thoughts, so many ideas. You can't stop it. ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ 1-2 ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಇಟ್ ಡಸಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಎಟ್ ಆಲ್. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೋಗ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ವೇ ಟು ವೇದಾಂತ್. ಅದು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾದರೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆದರೂ ಆದರೆ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೈ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ನೇಚರ್, ನಾಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಾಟ್. ವಾಟ್ ಡಿಡ್ ಐ ಸೇ? There is a background awareness which is my real nature, and this vritti is not my real nature. The thought is not my nature. To understand this, chitta vritti nirodh is required. Yoga bala idre Vedanta is easy to understand and grasp in real first person experience. Yoga bala idre, if you use only logic, you will arrive at a logical conclusion, but it won't change your mind. ಇದು ಒಂದು ಇಂಟೆಲೆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಯೋಗ ಬಲ ಬೇಕು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಇಸ್, ಹೌ ಡು ಐ ಸಿ? ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್, ಹೌ ಡು ಐ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಗಾಡ್? See, the fact is, it is Brahman only who is manifesting as everybody else. Whether you believe it or not, this is the fact. Because the light shining in your eyes is the light of awareness. There is only one awareness shining through different eyes, through different bodies. So we are connected only through God. We can never be connected by community, society, politics, economics, global village. You can only be connected by spirituality, for the simple reason one consciousness is manifesting in different bodies and appearing as different persons. Ondsati Thakur life alli incident ide. It is so pointing. Thakur M enters Thakur's room and Sri Ramakrishna is in samadhi, deep samadhi. Then M sits close to Thakur, and after a long time Thakur opens his eyes. He has come out of samadhi. Prakritistha holen. That is the word. Then suddenly Sri Ramakrishna says, do you know what I see? See, from samadhi state he is talking now. Do you know what I see? I see this is all only he. This is all Brahman. He has become these plants, these trees, these people in that temple garden in Dakshineshwar. He has become all this. Then he says, Kamon jano, jamun momer pata momer fool. Suppose there is a wax garden and everything is made of wax in that garden. The trees, tree trunk, leaves, fruit, everything is wax. Even the people roaming in that garden are wax images. I see it like that, he is saying. What is that wax? Brahman, divine consciousness. One substance appearing in so many forms. This is the truth of existence. Our individuality has no truth. You scrutinize and see, inquire and see. I'll give you methods of inquiry, Vedantic methods, maybe in the next class. So this is the experience of the mystic. Now sumne avrige mystic helodu. They are the actual ones who are seeing things as they are. We are the perverted ones, Nam nodak aagta illa. The reality of things we are unable to see. See, now when I see you, instead of seeing the light of awareness in your eyes. If I am identifying you with matter, isn't it an insult? This is how we are seeing. I am insulting the God shining through you. So the fact is, that's why I told you Vedanta is a way of life. It is not somebody's philosophy. It is the fact of existence. It is the truth of manifestation. But we must learn to that Vedanta drishti barbeku. Drishti jnanamayam kritva pashet brahmamayam jagat. That is the goal. Jnanamayam drishti adre brahmamayam nodabodu jagat. Illadre only this one is bad, that one is like this one is critical, that one is stupid. Ee tarane ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ full life.
When we hear all that stupidity or anger or fighting and all,
that time we get agitated. ಅದು ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗಂದ್ರೆ, if you practice spiritual disciplines intensely, you will at least get an abhas of the reality. ಒಂದು ಆಭಾಸ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಸಾಧನೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಓದೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಕೇಳೋದು, ಅದರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಇಟ್ ವೋಂಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈ ಹಾರ್ಟ್. ಸಾಧನೆ ಬೇಕಮ್ಮ. ಯು ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಾಧನ, ಇನ್ ದೀಸ್ ಟ್ರೂತ್ಸ್. ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಎಂಡ್ ದ ಸೆಷನ್. One more question. Okay, last one.
after doing so much sadhana and all, people will react and people will get angry. We have seen
Nodi, many times, no, some amount of anger or something is required to control the outer situation. So a real sadhak may show some amount of anger. Don't misunderstand it. He may show some amount of displeasure. Thakur Jivanane ನೀವು ನೋಡಿ, some things he disliked. Now, how will you interpret that? Is that mind not in the Sthita Prajna state? It is very much in Sthita Prajna state. Our situationally, to control the different forces working there, he is showing anger. ಒಂದು ಡ್ರಾಮಾ ಥರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಠಾಕೂರ್. So it is possible to show a certain amount of emotion according to the circumstances. So every jnani has shown this. Every person of knowledge has shown this. The point is this: how stable are you within yourself as a result of sadhana? Idu ನಾವು ನೋಡಬೇಕು. ಆ ಥರ ಸ್ಟೆಬಿಲಿಟಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬಂದಿದೆಯಾ? If there is stability within you, there will be clarity in the mind. If there is clarity, there will be real knowledge. If there is knowledge, there will be no ignorance. If there is no stability, there will be no clarity. No clarity, no knowledge. So only ignorance. Adu agbaru. Yes, let's conclude here for today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We will resume tomorrow at 10:30.